Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the Qalam podcast. You're listening to the series on the sufficient answer, the cures for spiritual sicknesses, delivered by Sheikh Mikhail Smith. In this series, Sheikh Mikhail will be covering a beautiful book authored by Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala titled Al-Jawab al-Kafi, in which he not only addresses the very common yet extremely difficult issues of spirituality, but he also addresses the philosophical crises that people suffer through. Sheikh Mikhail will lead us through this book and bring forth very beautiful and beneficial discussions. So listen in, share with family and friends, and if you are benefiting from Qalam and everything that we provide here at the podcast and beyond, then please be a part of this solution, be a part of this project of educating all of humanity by going to supportqalam.com, support Qalam yourself, and also share the link with family and friends. And now on to the lesson.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyana wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقربنا إلى حبك يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we're continuing with class number 6 of Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala's Jawab al-Kafi. And as a brief introduction to the book that we're studying, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah was asked a question. And the question was, what do you say to a person who has been stuck in some type of sin? And the person knows that that sin is destructive in its nature. The sin will destroy their soul, their heart. It will destroy them completely in this world and the hereafter. The person knows that already, yet as they try harder and harder and harder to get out of that sin, they find themselves going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that actual sin. So Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala, he was asked this question, and as a result of that, alhamdulillah, we have this entire book in which Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah is explaining the effects of sins. And one of the things that he said is necessary for us to understand, there's two things that we have to understand. Those primary two things are this. Number one, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this realm that we live in now as a realm of sabab and musabbab, cause and effect. That the actions we do have a direct correlated effect on who we are and how we are. And he said that the means for bringing khair or good to your life is the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the means by which a person brings shar or evil into their lives is through the ma'asi, the sins and the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, last week we had an amazing class last week, alhamdulillah. I benefited so much because in chapter 13, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi began to explain the effects, the specific effects of certain sins. So what are some of those effects that we went over last week for those who were here? Just a few of them. Deprived of knowledge. He said that knowledge is a light that Allah places in the heart. It's a nur. And the person who has become attached to certain sins will be deprived of that light, that nur. And of course, that knowledge we're talking about is not a book smart, but a knowledge about your purpose and who you are, right? What was the second effect of sins? Second one? I guess you're the only one, brother. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Deprived of risk.
Deprived of risk, meaning there are some hadith that tell us that as a person is a mahroom, deprived of some of their provisions because of sins that they have done. Exactly. Next one?
Wahsha.
Wahsha. Between what?
Between the sinner and Allah.
Yes. So he said what happens as a result of sin, and this is a powerful one. He says what happens as a result of sin is there creates this wahsha or estrangement or unfamiliarity between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like you feel disconnected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what I mentioned last week is only after you've ever felt that connected feeling once or twice will you ever really, really, truly hate the feeling of wahsha. Once you felt that connection even one time, There is nothing more beautiful than to have that feeling, and a person misses that feeling. So he says one of the effects of sins, and I'm sure we can all attest to this, one of the effects of sins is the person begins to feel this uncomfortable being around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's all the time. Next one.
Wahsha between people.
Yes, he said the sins create this wahsha, same type of strangeness between you and other people. You know, you don't feel connected. And he said even the people you love most, you'll feel disconnected from them because of the sins that you're involved in. Next one.
Difficulties in everything you're trying to do.
Difficulties. Subhanallah. You try to do something, this is not working. This is not working. Door after door is being closed, closed, closed. And we explained not all difficulties mean a punishment from Allah, right? We explained that. And what's the sign? How do you know if a difficulty is a test to raise your level or a difficulty is a punishment because of sins?
You come closer to Allah, you want to pray more, or you want to distance yourself from the salah, distance yourself from
Yes.
people.
If that hardship pushes you away from Allah, then you should understand that that hardship was a punishment. But if that hardship is a result of that, you actually start to get closer to Allah. And that's why Ibn Attal al-Askandari, he says, some sins even now. Now this is a tough one. Some sins even have the ability to bring you close to Allah, and some good deeds even have the ability to push you away from Allah. Because of the effect of that. You do a certain good deed, you start to feel very proud. Like, yeah, I'm the man, yo, Fajr, yo. Like, yo, you didn't pray today? Astaghfirullah. Like, bro, you just prayed. Yo, this is your first Fajr, dude. Like, why are you all, what happened? You know? So, some sin, the good deeds, the result is arrogance. And that's the worst effect. The worst effect. Alright, what is the next one?
Literal darkness.
A darkness, a physical darkness he talks about that starts in the heart but then actually starts to come out onto the face and on the body. And you can see the effect of that, right? You can see the effect physical. He's not talking metaphysical or spiritual. He's saying a physical effect of that sin. Regardless of how much makeup or whatever they put on, right? You still see it. Okay? Or, what is it? What does the camera do?
Filters.
Filters, right? Yes. What's the next one? Weakness. Weakness in the body, weakness in the heart. And then he said, next one. That's all we did? Alright. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Chapter 14. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi now continuing to teach us the effect of certain sins on us, continuing to explain that. He says, وَمِنْهَا أَنَّ الْمَعَاصِي تَزْرَعُ أَمْثَالَهَا وَيُولَدُ بَعْضَهَا بَعْضًا حَتَّى يَعِزُّ عَلَى الْعَبْدِ مَفَارِقَتَهَا وَخُرُوجْ مِنْهَا. He says the next effect of sins is that ma'asi tazra'u amthalaha. Ma'asi sow the seed for the like of them. Sins breed other sins. Tazra means to actually plant the seed. So Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, he says one sin plants the seed. When that sin is done, plants the seed for the next sin. And he says, وَيُولَدُ بَعْضَهَا بَعْضًا. He says, and one sin gives birth to the next sin. حَتَّى يَعِزُّ عَلَى الْعَبْدِ مَفَارِقَتُهَا. Until it becomes so hard for a person to get away from sin, وَالْخُرُوجْ مِنْهَا, and to get out of it. كَمَا قَالَ بَعْضُ السَّلَفِ. He says, some of the scholars used to say, إِنَّ مِنَ عُقُوبَةِ السَّيِّئَةِ سَيِّئَةَ بَعْدَهَا إِنَّ مِنْ ثَوَابِ الْحَسَنَةِ حَسَنَةِ بَعْدَهَا. Subhanallah. He says some of the scholars used to say that indeed the punishment for one sin is the sin that follows it necessarily. And the reward for a good deed is the good deed that follows it necessarily. That's heavy. That's heavy. He's explaining that, subhanAllah, intrinsically, that one sin, the punishment of that is that it brings one more with it right after. Like they say in Arabic, al-kidhib yajurul kidhib. Right? Al-kidhib yajurul kidhib. You know what I'm saying? One lie pulls the next one. Now listen to the psychology of sin. If I was to title this halaqah, it would be the psychology of ma'siyah. Because listen to what he says. He says, فَالْعَبْدِ إِذَا عَمِلَ حَسَنًا. When a person does a righteous deed, قَالَتْ أُخْرَى إِلَى جَنْبِهَا. i'malini aydan. When a person does a good deed, the good deed sitting next to it says, me too, I'm next. فَإِذَا عَمِلَهَا. When he does the second one, قَالَتِ الثَّالِث. The second deed next to that says, me too, my turn. وَهَلُمَّ جَرَّ فَتَضَاعَفَ الرَّبْحِ. So this person's profit keeps increasing. وَتَزَايَدَتْ الْحَسَنَاتِ. And the good deeds keep increasing. And then he says, وَكَذَلِكَ الْجَانِبِ السَّيِّئَةِ أَيْضًا. Same thing with a sin. You do this sin, like I say, gateway drugs, right? No sin is by itself. Every sin comes with another sin connected to it. And that's why we are so naive when shaitan goes, yeah, just do this. Shaitan goes, just do this, just this one right here. Naturally, we should understand that's a fallacy. That's not going to work. He says it naturally brings the next. Hatta tasiru. Now listen to this. He says, until ta'at and ma'asi become a quality that is deeply embedded inside of you. One after the next, after the next, after the next, until what? He says it becomes who you are. Deeply inside of you. It's either righteous or that sin. It becomes who you are. وَمَلَكَاتْ ثَابِتَةً. In a part of you, intrinsically a part of who you are. فَلَوْ. Now listen to what he says. فَلَوْ أَطَلَ الْمُحْسِنْ طَاعَةً. If the one who's accustomed to these good deeds all of a sudden stops doing good deeds, لَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِ نَفْسٍ. He or she starts to feel like a constriction inside. They start to feel uncomfortable. Who is this? Who are we talking about? Who's this person? The person who's muhsin has got accustomed to good deeds, right? And all of a sudden, he loses the or she loses the opportunity for a certain good deed. He says all of a sudden that person starts to feel like a constricted feeling on the heart, uncomfortable. Something's not sitting right today. They're like, yo, what's up, bro? I don't know. Something's not right today. Like you didn't have your coffee? You know what I'm saying? Some of us, what's wrong, bro? You need your coffee? Like, yeah, man. Something's not right. So what he's saying is, as the person keeps doing these hasanat, it becomes such a part of who they are that if one time they leave out that hasanat, they get that agitated feeling and something's not right. But he says, listen to this. وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِ الْأَرْض بِمَا رَحُبَتْ. And he's just using a metaphor that the earth becomes constrained. Like he's not comfortable. He's not comfortable. Or she's not comfortable. وَحَسَ مِن نَفْسِهِ. And this person feels بِأَنَّهُ كَالْحُوتِ إِذَا طَارَقَ الْمَاءِ. This person feels like they're a fish that's out of the water. Like, I gotta get back to that. I'm missing it. Something's wrong. حَتَّى يُعَوَدَهَا. Until it goes back. فَتَسْكُ النَّفْسِ. So then the person calms down. They become back. Okay, cool, I got it back. وَتَقِرُّ عَيْنَهُ. And they become relaxed. Now listen to this though. وَلَوْ أَطَلَ الْمُجْرِمِ. On the opposite, if a person who has become accustomed to sins, accustomed to disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by one sin, after the next, وَأَقْبَلَ عَلَى طَاعَاتٍ. And all of a sudden, starts to please come on in, yo, we got mad space. Yo, y'all supposed to be welcoming, man. We did the halaqah last year, like, who remembers the hadith, the Rasul ﷺ, he said, it's haqq on a Muslim. What did we learn last year? Who remembers this hadith? Close.
Like to at least move.
To at least move. Subhanallah. You remember that hadith last year? The Rasul ﷺ, he says, one day the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the masjid. I'm just going to digress for a moment because we're supposed to be acting upon what we learn, right? The Rasul ﷺ was sitting in a gathering. No, he was sitting in the masjid by himself. A sahabi walked in the masjid. The masjid was empty. When the Prophet ﷺ saw him, he got up and he adjusted himself. So the man said, Ya Rasulullah, fil makan. Like, Ya Rasulullah, there's plenty of space. I'm not that big. I'm not a big guy. Why are you making space for me? He says, no, haqq ala al-Muslim idha ra'ahu an yatazahzaha lahu. It's haqq on a Muslim that when you see him, at least you move. You ever walk into class late and don't nobody move? You're like, should I be here or not? But then somebody moves, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to come in. So that's the Rasul ﷺ. So subhanallah, we have visitors, new people coming into the class. We got to act upon that, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so listen to what he says now. So what is he explaining? He's explaining that the first scenario was what? That a person who does one good deed the reaction to that is that good deed sows the seed for the next good deed, and the person continues in that train. And likewise is the case with unrighteous, ma'siyah, disobedience of Allah. Now he says, if a person has become accustomed to a disobedience of Allah, and he says, وَلَوْ عَطَلَ الْمُجْرِمْ مَعْصِيَةً وَأَقْبَلَ عَلَى طَاعَةٍ لَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِ نَفْسُ وَضَاقَتْ صَدْرُهُ وَعَيَتْ عَلَيْهِ مَذَاهِبُهُ. He's like, if a person who is accustomed to disobedience of Allah stops that for a moment and starts to do some righteousness, sit in good company, sit in positive environments, he says all of a sudden he starts to feel this pressure. He or she, they start to feel this pressure that, like, the same feeling of who? The other guy. And this is why scholars say, listen, we don't worship feelings. We don't care about feelings. See, this person is feeling that tightness because he's not or she's not used to the righteous environment. So they did that right. They're in that environment and they feel this constrained feeling. If they worship feelings, if they act on feelings, they're out. Like, no, I'm out. That was too much. I can't. That was too. It's hot up in there. Too much Allah and Rasul, yo. Gotta dip out. It is kind of hard again now. I'm so sorry. Okay, but so subhanallah, like, look what he's saying. This is so interesting to understand the psychology behind these sins and how they act. He says, حَتَّى إِنَّ كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْفُسَاقِ. Listen to what he says. He says, until you see so many people who are open transgress, people who are in the middle of sin, لَا يُوَاقِعُ الْمَعْصِيَةِ مِنْ غَيْرِ لَذَّةٍ يَجِدُهَا. You'll see people that are doing sins, that are accustomed to sin, they will do sins even when they don't get the lezza anymore. Let me give an example. Who drinks coffee all the time? I've actually been cutting out, actually. No one else? Okay. You notice how you don't get that feeling anymore? You know what I'm saying? You don't get that same kick. You guys need something else, another example. I don't know. Huh?
Coffee's good.
Huh?
Coffee's good.
Soda?
Coffee's great.
Sugar. I mean, we're so used to sugar now. I mean, I don't feel nothing with sugar. It's just like, whatever. MashaAllah, by the way. The Shai is Mumtaz. MashaAllah, man. Oh, Shai, pass the Shai, please. Please, pass the Shai. Are there more cups, please? They have cups here. So listen, let's continue. What he's saying here is very interesting. He's explaining what? He says many people who have become accustomed to fusaq, open transgression, in the deepest of sins, he says they will continue with the sin even though they're not getting any pleasure from that sin. Why? وَلَا دَاعِيَ عَلَيْهِ. No really pull for it. إِلَّا لِمَا يَجِدُ مِنْ أَلَمِ الْمُفَارَقَتِهَا. Except the pain of leaving it. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Now apply that to your righteousness too, though. Imagine a person who has become accustomed to righteousness and you're like, man, I don't get the feeling of tahajjud no more. You know, that first day I prayed tahajjud, it was like, I felt like an angel almost. Like, I felt like I could just touch people and like, yo. You know what I mean? Like, you shake my hand, you'll feel something, right? People are like, yo, there's no difference in you, bro. But you feel that first tahajjud, you're like, yo, I'm righteous. But then after you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and I remember one time I went to my teacher, and as a convert, we see it like night and day. The first 3 weeks, first month, first 6 months even, every sajda is like Jannah. You know what I mean? Like every experience. And even people who come back to the deen, not just a convert, you come back to the deen. In the beginning, because you're going from 0 to 60, pushes you back. But now I'm rolling at 70 miles an hour. I'm not leaning against the seat no more. Am I still moving at 70? Yeah. Exactly. So what we want is that feeling every time, a Tesla. I want to feel that all the time. Ramadan, I want to feel that. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tesla feeling? Like, okay. You can try to hold your head and that's going to work. Right? No, do you guys get what I'm saying? We love that feeling of that pushback, that because I feel like I'm moving. But there's a fallacy there. Of course, when you first start off, you're going to get that feeling. And then once you're moving, cool, from 80 to 90 is a lot faster, but you don't feel too much, depending on the car. Okay? But the point I'm trying to say here is he's saying people will continue a sin just because they don't want to apart from it. Similarly, people that are accustomed to good deeds, they'll continue on that path because of just, I'll feel weird if I don't read my Quran today. I'm not getting the feeling I used to get. But I'm going to feel weird if I don't read it. Let me read my Quran today. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is one reason why you want to build that connection with the masjid. You want to build that connection with righteous company. Because after a while, you'll start to feel that, yo, I'm missing it, yo. I need that Wednesday halakha, yo, that chai, yo. I'm missing it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't feel what you felt the first time you came to the halakha. The first time you come to the halakha, you're like, yo, that was lit, yo, it was chill. After a while, you're like, yeah, I'm used to it, Sheikh Mikael. But you're still moving, we're still learning, we're still bettering ourselves. We're still getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But everyone wants the Tesla feeling every time, right? SubhanAllah. Questions, comments on this? Any questions or comments? This is very profound. Hassan, please. Don't hold. Yes, Isa.
Is there enough cups?
You guys not got enough cups?
Yeah.
You sure?
We found some more.
Okay, we found more.
We have a lot.
Okay, alhamdulillah, they're good. Questions, comments on this? This is a very important point. Yes.
I don't know where this was very profound. It's just they said that there's two types of learning. There's one where you're actually following the and then there's just inspiration. You know, we're living in an age where we're just schooling things on YouTube that'll give us inspiration.
Yeah.
Actually.
So you're talking about, she's referring to what was talked about a year and a half ago back, which was edutainment, where we always wanted that thrill to learning deen, right? We didn't want to just learn, but we wanted that to be entertained along with learning the deen. And that is a problem that we have, right? And I think it's Neil Postman who writes Amusing Ourselves to Death. Talks about the means and the medium and what's being communicated. And that is a problem where we just want that feeling every time. Now don't get me wrong. When you go from 0 to 40, 50, 60, you're going to get that feeling and it will feel great. I'm talking spiritual now. We're not talking about cars. I'm talking spiritual. But the idea is not to worship that feeling. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
The idea is not to worship that feeling. Okay? If it comes, it comes. Alhamdulillah. If it doesn't come, I'm still cruising at 60 because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. For him to him, inshallah. Yes.
Okay, so you said that not every single time you're getting that feeling.
Yes.
But when you leave that thing that you're doing, you start to miss it.
Start to miss it.
Okay, so what if like you're not at the point where you miss it yet, but like you're feeling like dull and it's like not as flavorful as the first time. So like, what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So the question is like, I think we all struggle with that. I think we all struggle with it, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-istiqama fawqa al-kirama. Istiqama is the main thing we want. Istiqama means to be steadfast on something. I think when it comes to like working out, the first month of working out, you feel crazy gains, you feel crazy burn, you feel all types. You're like, wow. But then after a while, you plateau. And in order to keep increasing, you just got to keep going. Now, you may get that feeling occasionally, and that's why I went to my teacher. I was giving an example. I was like, I don't feel like I felt. He's like, are you doing everything you're supposed to do? I was like, yeah. He's like, cool. Alhamdulillah. You're not going to feel that all the time. That's my point, is we're not worshiping feelings. That's the thing we have to get out of. Now, I will say this. In the beginning, Allah will give you that feeling because it's addictive. You like it. Allah will give you that. Right? Allah will give you that. But as you mature spiritually, it's like the kid that gets good grades. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, mashallah, wow, for stuff they're supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After a while, you shouldn't need that wow to do your homework. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, you need that from dad. Same way, Allah gives us that feeling in the beginning. But we don't need that feeling because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's just a consistency you need. But I will say this, every now and then you need that inspirational hit. You need that powerful lecture that just makes the hair stand like, oh man. You need that every now and then. But don't worship it. Don't seek it all the time. Seek consistency. Seek consistency. Okay? Cool. Any other questions, comments? This is beautiful stuff. Yes?
What if you actually, because I personally know someone, like when they start praying and stuff, they just feel so empty. They might be happy not praying at all, but the minute they start praying, they feel like depressed or empty. Or
And you're saying, hold on. You're saying they're not normally praying a lot, but when they start, they feel that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what he just said. I think right before you came, what he said in the book was when a person is not accustomed, when a fish out of water feels uncomfortable. A person accustomed to sin that starts to do righteousness and leave sin is going to start feeling that pressure. But you got to persevere through that. You got to persevere. You got to push through that till you get to the point where now you feel comfortable in it. And I'm so happy that we're reading this because that's the problem we all face. Like, they just don't feel right. Of course it doesn't feel right. You're not used to it yet. You got to let yourself get used to it. You got to know I'm supposed to be here and let myself get used to it. Everyone cool? Alhamdulillah. He says, now, you know, the Arabs, man, the way they subhanAllah, give examples. He says, كما صرح بذلك الشيخ القوم الحسن ابن هاني حيث يقول. Like, Arab poetry always talked about two things. What?
I don't know.
Alcohol and women. Or horses. Same exact as pop culture today. Literally hip-hop. Literally. So if you read Arabic poetry, not now. This is all they talked about. So he says a poem to give an example. He says, وَكَأْسٍ شَرِبْتُ عَلَى لَذَّةٍ One glass I drank out of pleasure. وَأُخْرَى تَدَاوَيْتُ مِنْهَا بِهَا The second drink was just to wash that one down. I know you're not supposed to be like, ooh, wow, that's deep, but it's poetry, right? And we're not supposed to be like, oh, yo, I'm going to use that one right there. No, don't use that. But he's giving an example from Arabic poetry of how one thing follows the next, right? How one thing follows the next, follows the next, follows the next. Okay. The next poem is even more explicit. Like, he's like, yeah, whatever. ولا يزال العبد يعاني طاعة ويؤلفها ويحبها ويؤثرها. This is important now. Psychology of good deeds, psychology of sin. A person will continually keep doing good deeds, getting accustomed to good deeds, loving good deeds, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يرسل الله سبحانه وتعالى برحمته عليه ملائكة تؤزه إليها أزا. At this point, once a person becomes accustomed, that is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now begins to send angels to this person that now start to help that person out specifically. And ta'uzzuhu azza, like encouraging, pushing you forward. And he says, وَتَحَرُّضُهُ عَلَيْهِ And are saying, no, do it, it's good. وَتَزْعَجُهُ عَنْ فَرَاشِهِ That will get you up out of your bed. Get up, time for Fajr. وَلَا يَزَالُ يَأْلِفُ الْمَعَاصِي He says, and similarly, a person will continually be connected to sins, وَيُحِبُّهَا Loving sins, giving preference to sins, حَتَّى يُرْسِلُ اللَّهِ Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends shayateen to this person, تَأُزُّهُ أَزَّا Yo, keep going, man. Keep going. And he says, فَأَوْلَى قُوَّةِ He says, فَالْأُولَى قُوَّةِ جُنْدِ طَاعَةِ The first one is the army, the backup army for good deeds. The madad, he says, it's madad. There's reinforcements. And he says, فَصَارُوا مِنْ أَكْبَرِ أَعْوَانِهِ And this becomes your biggest help, those angels helping you. What the second one? قُوَّةَ جُنْدَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ بِالْمَدَدِ It's the reinforcements for evil. Pushing you on. Right? So listen. Practically speaking, that one sin is dangerous, man. Just like that one hit, that one sip, that one look, that one...
Experience.
Yeah.
First time.
You're not supposed to finish the sentence. That was supposed to be completed in your mind. That one time is not one time. It's dangerous. Understand that. That's his point here. Tayyibin? SubhanAllah. Man, when I read this, I'm so grateful the scholars have left things like this for us. But I'm also surprised at how much we don't know. I'm also surprised at how much we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is lost in some book sitting on a shelf somewhere. That's what I needed, you know? SubhanAllah. Should we go forward? Chapter 15. وَمِنْهَا, the next effect of the sin. وَهُوَ مِنْ أَخْوَفِهَا عَلَى الْعِبَادِ عَلَى الْعَبْدِ. He says, and this is the one I fear for most. This is the one I fear for most. أنها تدعف القلب عن إرادة خير فتقوي إرادة المعصية وتدعف إرادة التوبة شيئا فشيئا إلى أن تنسلخ من قلبه إرادة التوبة بالكلية فلو مات نصفه لما تاب إلى الله فيأتي من الاستغفار والتوبة الكاذبة باللسان بشيء كثير وقلبه معقود بالمعصية. He says the next one is that the effect of the sin is slowly the heart loses the desire for any good. Slowly the heart loses any desire for any good. And the desire for ma'siyah starts to rise. So you don't even want it anymore. That's dangerous. One thing is like, what's the verse in Surah, وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِيلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says there are some people who bakhila, they're bakhil with their money, and then they're also istaghna. They're like, I don't even need to give it. Now, one thing is I'm stingy. I'm like, man, I wish I should give some sadaqah. No, I'm good. I'm going to hold on to this. Another thing is, man, why does Moshe need my money? What do I get out of that? Oh, you don't even want to do good anymore. The other dude is light years ahead of you. Because he wants to do good, but just is stingy. You're at the point now where you're like, what do I get out of that? SubhanAllah. So this is what he's saying. He says, فَتَدْعَفُ إِرَادَةِ التَّوْبَةِ شَيْئًا فَشَيْئًا. He says, as you do more sins, what does Shaitan tell us? You got tawbah, you got tawbah, you got tawbah. He says, but the reality is, as you keep doing more, the desire for tawbah actually drops. And you actually want more, you don't want to do tawbah. And he says, subhanallah, إِلَىٰ أَن تَنْسَلَخَ مِنْ قَلْبِي إِرَادَةُ تَوْبَةِ بِالْكُلِّيَّةِ. Until it's completely taken out. No more, you don't even want to do tawbah. It's completely taken out. He says, فَلَوْ مَعْتَ نِصْفُهُ. If the person was half dead, he still won't do tawbah. He's speaking, but he's just trying to say how far it goes. That you slowly, each sin, you lose the tawfiq or the desire to even want to do tawbah until you've lost that whole desire for tawbah completely. And then what he says here, he says, but this person will do a lot of seeking forgiveness on the tongue. Just a superficial stuff. Right while you're doing it. He said the person will do a lot of that. But no tawbah. Tawbah is like, Ya Allah. That moment right there. I'm sorry, Ya Allah. And by the way, tawbah, we think tawbah is like, let me go to the masjid, put money in the sadaqah box, go shake the imam's hand, go sit next to the mihrab. No. Tawbah, right now, in the depths of your heart, tawbah. Tawbah to nasuha. True tawbah. Nothing needs to happen. Externally, you look the same. But internally, you got up, everything was forgiven. Everything was forgiven. So he says, Azim ala, he says this person is doing a lot of istighfar, astaghfirullah, on the tongue. But the person is already thinking about the next time he's going to do the sin. Already planning for it. Now let me correct something here. And we talked about this before, so I'm going to ask someone from from the halaqah to answer the question. If shaitan tells you, why do tawbah now when you're going to do this sin tomorrow? Some of us are in certain sins I can't get out. Even I listen to the lecture, everything, I can't get out of it. So shaitan's like, bro, who you fooling? You're going to be there tomorrow. You got to be there tomorrow. Don't do tawbah. What's the answer to this? MashaAllah, ahsant. Who said you live until tomorrow? Shaitan did. Did Allah send your promise tomorrow? Nope. Nope. That's the fallacy. Shaitan's playing you. All you got to do is do tawbah today. You're not responsible for tomorrow. Tomorrow didn't come yet. Do tawbah tonight. I don't even know if I'm alive tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm alive tomorrow. Do tawbah tonight. Tomorrow comes, I get stuck again. Guess what? I'm doing tawbah again, shaitan. Sincere, real tawbah, real. Ya Allah, I want out. I want out. Tawbah again. But don't fall into that deception of shaitan that tomorrow you're going to have to do it again. And you know what? This also goes for good deeds. You ever think to yourself, man, I got to pray Fajr for the rest of my life? Like, you start to Hajj, you're like, for the rest of my life to Hajj? Wow, nah, I'm right. The nafs doesn't like very long things. So the way we work psychologically is we give small dosages of things. We tell you, don't think about the long run. Just get through tomorrow. Good deeds are the same way. You don't accept Islam like, hey, for the rest of your life, you're going to be praying 5 times a day. Like, no, I'm good, yo. But you're like, yo, just one day at a time. Just today. And when tomorrow comes, like, just today. And the next day comes, just today. And in reality, it's not a joke. It is just today. Because I don't know about tomorrow. So good deeds the same way. Don't get this stress that I got 20 years of whatever ahead of me. No, you don't. You don't know that. You have tomorrow to be good. You have tomorrow to obey Allah. And that's it. Okay? Type.
Can't you say there's that fallacy from shaitan as well, where you don't have to do good today, tomorrow's guaranteed, right? Or
exactly. Subhanallah.
You don't have to do it today, just
Subhanallah.
You'll get your
the
chance
whole
in a
thing
week.
is the aks, right?
Yeah.
The same way he used the same fallacy of logic is used on both sides. Subhanallah. Everyone got that? Everyone got that, right? Subhanallah. Okay. Should we keep going? Yeah. Like, I came in the rain. You better keep going. All right. 16. Right? 16. Chapter 16. Oh, subhanallah. وَمِنْهَا. Next effect of sin. أَنَّهُ يَنْسَلِخُ مِنَ الْقَلْبِ إِسْتِقْبَاحِهَا. As you commit the sin, what's taken away from your heart is a hatred for the sin. Istiqbah, qubh, qabih. You become desensitized. It doesn't look so bad anymore. You stop hating the sin. You stop hating the sin. فَتَسِيرُ لَهُ عَادًا. It becomes adi. It becomes adi. It becomes nothing, normal. فهمت? فَلَا يَسْتَقْبِحْ مِنْ نَفْسِهِ رُؤْيَةِ النَّاسِ لَهُ. You don't even feel bad about people seeing you do it anymore. Now I want to talk about this for a moment. Because Islam is a family-based and a communal-based religion. And part of that is I'm a part of the fam. I have a family name. I'm a part of the community. I'm a part of something greater than me. And that being a part of a family also necessitated that I didn't like people to see me in an unhonorable way. So people had honor. I'm talking 1960s America. People had honor because I'm a Smith. And you know, us Smiths are known around town. I'm a such and such. Because the family was so important that I didn't want to look bad. Because I didn't want to ruin something greater than me. But in the age of individualism, when you're cut off from the family, who cares about the fam? Do you. It's all about you. Then what do I care what people think about me? I'm my only judge. Who can judge me? Who do I have to worry about how they look at me? Dress how I want to dress. No matter what anyone says. You see how different time is? Like there was a time you cared about your father's name because you were a part of that. Whereas today it's like, I don't have to worry about what other people think about me. Whether it be family members, community members, no one. What he says, and this is the thing, in a righteous society, in a righteous society, we conform to that. Because even if I want to do a sin, I'm going to hold back. Because I don't want people to look negatively upon me. Do you understand what I'm saying about this? I don't want people to look... And these are people whose criticism I value, by the way. First, this is very important. I'm not talking about people who have no say. You know, what do I care about what you think about me? There are unjustified critiques. But there are people who we value them. And we value their acceptance of us. And what they think about us should matter to us. You know what I'm saying? What my mom likes and doesn't like matters to me. If she says, you know, don't wear short sleeves in the halakha, I'm like, I ain't wearing short sleeves next time. That's for me, right? So I was rocking short sleeves last night. Like, Sheikh shouldn't be rocking short sleeves. So I was like, all right, cool. All right? Right? Family says certain things, and you're like, all right, cool, I want to look good to my family. So he says what happens with the sins is you start to not even dislike the sin, and you stop caring what anyone thinks about you. That's why the first thing you hear people say, only Allah can judge me. What? Really? Is that where we're at now? Is that the level we're at? That you don't care about what no one says? No one has value anymore? So we have this concept of shame, a justified shame before angels. You should have shame before the angels. You should have shame before people you respect in the community. You see Amu, you know what I'm saying? Like, you fix up a bit, right? Because Amu has waqar. You respect his opinion. So, there's other types of shame, though, that are not justified. Like racial, or for things that have no moral value to it. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, I'm not ashamed that I'm not making 6 figures. I'm not ashamed. You can't shame me because I don't have a lot of wealth. Because I don't give value to that. You can only shame me in what I value. And I value righteousness. So I'm ashamed when I don't hold up to that righteousness. You understand? That's the key right there. I don't value wealth. So you can't shame me through that. I value righteousness. So that will put me to shame. Because it's my value system. Look, when I'm in a community with me and Hassan, and me and him share the same values, if he sees something not right, and he brings that out to light, he's representing shared values. Everyone with me on this one or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool. This is very important to understand. Because you empower who you allow to shame you. And I feel we empower the wrong people for their value systems. For their value systems to make me feel ashamed. And the people who we should feel ashamed around are those who we share the same moral value system. Everyone feel me on this?
Yes.
Okay, this is heavy. This is heavy. So I don't say, oh, it's between me and Allah. No. I have a community I'm a part of that I share values with. And if they point out a wrong, call a spade, I'm going to hang my head low because I did something wrong. I'm going to be ashamed. And that's human and that's beautiful. I'm going to hang my head low before the angels. That the angels saw me doing that. Allah saw me doing that. I'm ashamed. Right? Yes.
But if you're now the sinner, and if your crew is cool with it,
There's no shame.
shame.
There won't be. So
They
this
have
would...
to check you on if all your values match. Who's going to check you?
Of course, agreed, 100%. She's saying if your crew is like you, they're not going to call you out.
So you have to-
If anything, if you start doing good, they'll call you out.
If you are different from them.
Yes, of course. You are not fulfilling the value system of that clique. There was a point after I converted where I had to tell my crew, like, yo, I'm out, y'all. And they were like, I feel you. This ain't working. But we trying to like light up right now, and you keep like saying the Prophet Muhammad. We love you though, but I'm serious. I'm not even joking. There was a point. It was just like we both understood, like, you know what I mean? So 100%.
As a community, we have to find a community that values.
The same as you.
But what is my values?
Well, I mean, our Prophet in the Deen is our value system.
That's what we do. That's our right.
Yeah. And that's, exactly. Right? You with me?
I guess what she's trying to say is like.
Please come all the way in, all the way in, all the way in.
We ourselves, we're not perfect. Our systems are flawed, so we're trying to get better. So then we got to have those people that have higher righteousness.
Yeah, okay, so that is, so I don't know if that's what you're saying, but obviously the company we're with, the value systems, if there's...
Nobody carries their values on their forehead.
Oh, no, but you know once you're chilling with people, right? You know with the company you keep, the values that they have, and you know who you feel comfortable with too. And most of the time, birds of a feather, there it is. So the judge of who you are, Imam Ghazali says, if you want to judge who you are, if you want to judge you, look at your crew. They are an image, a mirror of you. Your crew is you. They only hang with you because you got the same values. Yes?
Can we like keep the questions to the end?
Alright.
So I just want to learn.
Yeah, I got you. Cool. Alright, so look what he says. SubhanAllah, this is beautiful. He says, so what happens as an effect of the sin? You lose this sense of the ugliness of the sin is gone. And until فَلَا يَسْتَقْبِحْ مِنْ نَفْسِهِ رُؤْيَةِ النَّاسِ لَهُ. You don't even care if people see you in that sin, and you don't even care if they talk about you, about that sin. You don't care. وَهَذَا عِنْدَ أَرْبَابِ الْفُسُوقِ مِنْ غَايَةِ التَّهَكُمْ وَتَمَامُ اللَّذَّةِ حَتَّى يَفْتَخِرْ. He says, and when you really get in this sin, you'll start to take pride in it. So we went to the complete opposite. That when you truly get into the sin, and you're deep in that sin, not only will you not think it's bad, not only will you not care that people think you're doing something bad, but you'll get to the point where you start to take pride in the very sin. SubhanAllah. And this, now when you reach that level, you've reached a tipping point. Because the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, كُلُّ أُمَّتِي مُعَافِي إِلَّا الْمُجَاهِرُونَ. The Prophet ﷺ said, all of my ummah will be forgiven except for mujahirun. Now they said, well, what's a mujahirun? The Prophet ﷺ said, mujahir is the one who in the middle of the night does a sin and Allah covers you up, and the person wakes up in the morning, is like, yo, you know what happened last night? Oh, it was lit. And it's like, that's mujahir. Prophet ﷺ said the whole ummah is forgiven except that person. Allah covered you. Nobody saw you. But you got up in the morning posting it on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. SubhanAllah. That's heavy. Now, we really got to talk about this one. Because why is this such a destructive vice? Why would the Prophet ﷺ teach us that the whole ummah is forgiven except the person who posts their sins on Snapchat, Facebook, whatever? You normalize sin. You normalize things that are destructive for people's soul. You make it normal. Because you want to feel good. Right? You feel bad. So I'm going to just post it. So I can get other people who are doing the same sin, tagging and liking. You know what I'm saying? Tagging and like, you go girl. Represent. Yeah. You just wanted someone to support what you're going through. Validation. That's what I was looking for. That's the word I was trying to get, but it wasn't coming. Yes, you just want validation. So that's dangerous. If you do the sin, just keep it low key. Keep it low key. Share your dinner or something. Like, I mean, share that.
They share food all the time.
Huh?
People share their pictures.
Share food, but don't share that. Like, hide that. Keep that low key. Play it, inshallah. SubhanAllah. Okay.
Wasn't there a story with Prophet Musa salam where a lady came to him and I'm not sure if it's authentic or not.
Yeah, go ahead.
She comes to him and she tells him that I had a son and a daughter and I raised them apart, and they eventually, with her knowing, ended up marrying.
Oh, no, I never heard of that.
Okay.
Allahu Alam. Okay, next one. Chapter number 17.
Wait, Sheikh?
Yes.
That's a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, with the thing that you just said, is it only if you know it's a sin? So
Yeah,
for
if
instance,
you
like
won't
if
know.
you're going through a hard time and you start doing bad things that you think are, like, you know what I mean? Like some
Yeah,
people-
so that's where the community has to kind of pull your coattail and private message you. Like, yo, I don't think you should be sharing that because, you know, that's not. So if a person truly doesn't know, they don't know. Right? But I think for many of us, we kind of know what I shouldn't be sharing and what I should be sharing. But if the person doesn't know, they don't know.
And there's that point of not making them feel guilty for sharing that, though, right?
So that's why I said private message.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be tactful with this.
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram people are like keyboard warriors and not tactful.
And even in private messages, though, right?
Yeah, even then, you still gotta be tactful. Well, you have to correct it smoothly. That's it. You gotta be very. It's not just, hey, yo, what you doing? Like, whatever. You gotta. I wouldn't even even go on. If you could literally go to the person and talk to them. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, like, when we're gonna go to these people and we're gonna give nasiha, like, even if we are sort of tight, but not really, like, okay, first of all, it all goes back to like our circle. We want our circle to be people who have the same morals as us.
Yes.
So like these people, let's say we are people, inshallah, with good morals.
Yes.
And we want to give nasiha to people who are like, you know, struggling, that are not from our circle. How would you best go about it? Like you were saying, you like your private message down.
This is two different. We conflated a few different discussions here. The first thing first, as we learn all this information, is who are we learning this for first and foremost? Ourselves. So the lesson for us is that we ourselves need to understand the effect of sin is that you start to not feel that the sin is evil. That you start to be desensitized to the sin naturally because you're doing it. And whatever comes from you don't stink, right? So you start to justify it, okay? Then the next effect of that is you don't care what people say about it, and your company will change because of that. Because your crew will be people who represent your value system. Cool. That's all on the side. Now, when it comes to publicizing, once you reach that point, you'll begin to publicize the sins that you do. Once you start publicizing the sin, this is mujahid, and this falls into a category of breaking down the moral fabric of our society by normalizing sin, which is very detrimental to the ethos of our community. Cool, done. So for us ourselves, we need to understand the effect of mujahid, or opening up the sin that Allah covered from you. If it's covered, leave it covered. Okay? The next thing is that we see things that are publicized. That's a whole different halaqah, guys. That's a whole different halaqah. Like, we were learning this just for us. What do we do with this knowledge? Now we see someone publicizing a sin. Now what do we do as a result of that? That comes to what we talked about. Remember last year we had a kind of funny halaqah about haram police licenses? Yeah. You got to get a license to be haram police. You don't just get a badge for no reason. Remember that was, right? So there's ways to learn how to correct things. And you need to go through a system of learning how to correct wrongs before you just get out there correcting. And I'll just give one advice for this. You have to love the person more than you love anything else in that situation. More than you love the correcting of the wrong, you got to love the person. If you truly love the person, you'll be smooth to correct that thing. You'll take time. You'll be very tactful about, because your goal is change, not just transmission. Hey, you know what's wrong, right? You know what? All right, between you and Allah, no. If you so love is the key thing. You need to love the person. If you don't love someone, stop trying to correct people. Just stop. You're gonna mess up more than you're gonna correct. All right? That's a different halaqah, though. That's a different halaqah. You feel me? Yes.
So, at what point can you share a sin that you had long before, but you want other people to benefit?
So, That's a good one. The Sahaba used to sit and talk about the days of Jahiliyyah and laugh about it, and the Prophet would sit and smile. They used to talk about Jahiliyyah and say like, man, remember we were doing all that crazy stuff? Wow, Allah is, alhamdulillah. As like a reminder of how much Allah brought us along the way. You know what I'm saying?
Others were struggling.
Yes, of course. Other people who are going through the same thing, like, sister, I was out there, right? Like, now that's not, you're not normalizing a sin.
But that's like about mujahada.
I don't think that's mujahada, inshallah. Especially if it was in a time of jahiliyyah and your intention is different, I don't think that's mujahada. I think mujahada is the person that did the sin and boastfully the next morning is like, yo, guess what happened last night? Okay, the next one. Okay. Just because of time. Oh, yes, I wanted to share this actually. I'm sorry. Same one before we go to the next one. There's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, تُعْرَضُ الْفِتَنْ عَلَى الْقُلُوبِ كَالْحَصِيرِ. That the fitans and see, we live in a time when there's a lot of fitna. It's very hard to tell what's correct, what's messed up. You know, so much going on. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, تُعْرَضُ الْفِتَنْ عَلَى الْقُلُوبِ. That the fitans will be introduced, the fitnas, trials, and unclear things will be introduced to the hearts. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever heart drinks from the fitna, takes from it, that heart will start becoming black until it's sealed. And whatever heart rejects that, pushes away, will become a strong heart. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, until people become of two types of hearts. Pure, white, shining hearts, and dark, sealed hearts. Just two types, that's it. But how does it happen? As the fitnas are coming, somebody say, no, I'm good, yo. I'm good. One fitna at a time. Now another hadith which is interesting is that the Prophet ﷺ in another hadith said, whoever sees, is not present, but sees a wrong and hates it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward that person as if they weren't even present. And the person that's not present hears about a wrong but likes it, Allah will reward that person as if they were present at that sin. You know what I'm saying? Like something going down, like, dang, I missed it. I missed it. Allah will reward you. You're there. You're with Him. You're there. You got the reward for that. And I'm saying I missed it on both ways. Whatever, you weren't there. If you were there and you hated it, Allah absents you from that. Not even on your record. You weren't there. Because you saw it go down, you're like, astaghfirullah. This ain't cool. You couldn't do nothing. We were too miskin. I couldn't do nothing. But in my heart, I was like, no, this is not right. We are at a time, guys, where you just got to protect your heart. Even if you can't speak up, you just got to be like, yo, that's wrong right there. I know this don't feel right. I know this is wrong. Dude, that's the age we're at right now. Just protect the heart. You may not be able to say anything. You may not be able to do anything about it. But protect the heart so the heart keeps sin as sin and righteousness as righteousness. Okay, so I just want to share that. Okay, inshallah? Okay. 8:42. So we're reaching an hour right now, inshallah. I think we should stop at this point, inshallah. Yeah, there's a lot more, alhamdulillah, but it's been a long class. So I think we could stop here. Any other questions? Yes.
So, when I found Islam, they taught me that if you teach someone good and they do that good,
yes,
you inherit the good deed for that until you
yes.
So similarly, you're talking about boasting about a sin. When you're out there boasting about it, you encourage others to do this sin. And if you pass away, another person continues this sin because they were encouraged by you. You get that person's sin.
Yes,
as well.
there's a hadith that talks about Cain slew Abel, right? He's the first one to do murder. He gets the reward for every murder that happens after. You gotta be very careful about. That's why we live. Social media can destroy you, yo. To be real with y'all, I know this is on social media right now. I don't have social media. I literally before the class, I download the app. After the class, I turn off the app. I'm not on it. I'm not on it. It gives me a headache. It stresses me out. All of that. And it's no benefit. I have so much more time with the people around me. So like, we live in an age where we just post it. The Prophet said there'll come a time when a person can say a lie and within seconds it reaches the horizon. SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. Is that not this right here? One post. Bam, whole world just saw it. Nah, we don't even know the reality. We just all reading it. I can't even verify it. I don't even know who to call. I did that in the Halifax, Maryland. I was all into it. I was like, well, who are you gonna call? There was all you. They're like, Ghostbusters. I was like, young college dude. It's funny. I miss the guys in Maryland. Hey, any questions? Yo, this was a heavy lesson today. There's a lot of stuff we really got to reflect on. That's why I didn't want to just keep going through it fast. Like, we got to really reflect on what we covered today and realize, like, what he was saying, man, in the beginning. Some of you guys came late, you missed it. But he was talking about that one sin is not one sin, man. That one sin has collateral damage, man. Right? And we went over, I'm not going to reiterate everything, but that's it.
Sure. I think it was first really powerful, especially in this day and age, talking about we don't worship feelings.
Oh, yes.
Because dealing with youth, a lot of youth, what they do, unfortunately, is that, oh, this makes me feel good. How could it be so wrong if it makes me feel so good?
Yep.
Right? Like you legit are happy because you're doing that thing. So if God loves me, why would he make me happy, doesn't he want my happiness? So if I'm happy, how can that thing be wrong?
Yeah.
I get, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get that a lot, like, psychologically.
Yeah, and that part, those who came late, that was a heavy part of the book, where just because, like she said, you're used to some sin, you jump in that righteous environment, you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
That's natural. But you should now psychologically understand, wait, it's natural that I would feel uncomfortable here, because I'm not used to this environment. But this is good for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So consistently doing that thing, even though it makes you uncomfortable, will get you to the point where you need to get.
But so when you first go to the gym, you're uncomfortable.
Right.
Then you feel the acceleration. You get past the uncomfortable feeling, and then you start feeling good, quick. You start feeling the differences. You feel the gains. Gains is coming like this. Then you plateau. That's what Sada was asking about. Because plateauing, you start to feel like I'm not moving anymore. And now that's when you got to say no. Right. That's a fallacy. You're still moving. Go talk to someone. You need a network.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Actually, just on that point, you are moving, like you said, at 7 miles an hour. But if you feel that plateau, is that like a thing that you should be inspired to do more?
No. Because you don't feel the car accelerating anymore. The car is still moving.
Would you recommend you level it up?
If you feel like you're about to stop the car because you felt that it's not moving, then perhaps you need that boost again. But if you come and talk to someone and they should be able to explain that, wait, are you praying? Are you doing dhikr? Are you reading Quran? Are you honoring your mother? Are you just checklist? Yeah, I'm doing that. Okay, you good. You good. You know what I'm saying? Now, if there's something there, though, then you gotta wait. Maybe there's something I'm doing. I gotta analyze. But if I'm doing everything,
see, that's very profound, though. Because now that
thank you. It's my wife. Thank you.
Because you know how you said that after a while, you don't need to get that wow, mashallah, you're doing so good. But we as human in our nature, we like to feel like appreciated. So if you have that one person who can tell you from time to time you're doing good.
Yeah.
That will help give you that boost.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so this is actually just a comment or like a...
Yeah, please. So
please. You know how we were talking about how like once you get yourself to do a sin, like even after that you said like first sin, first whatever it is, like So like I just want to back that up with like not back it up actually, but I just want to add there's a like theory or phenomenon in like psychology that a lot of therapists use, or where they like believe that it's like a baseline theory. So like basically you have your baseline, and the second and they use it for addiction. So like if you like are dealing with drugs, let's say, like once you experience like drugs for the very first time, it changes your baseline. So like even when you're trying to get better, so it's like that first time makes all the difference. Like that very first experience changes everything, because after that, when you're trying to bring your baseline back to the norm.
Back low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you do it one time, the baseline goes up.
Yes.
Now, what do they say about after repeated usage? Like, does the baseline keep going up?
Yeah, it does.
You build it like the coffee, right?
Yeah.
Like the coffee. I need stronger and stronger and stronger coffee.
But I want to add that because of how like significant, because of how significant that very first time or experience.
Yeah.
That it could be.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It's that first 0 to 60. You know what I'm saying? It's like that first big hit. Isa?
So at the same time, as Muslims, should we never be content of where we're at, doing good deeds? You know, we're trying to strive for Jannah, right? So, yeah, I pray 5 times a day, I give in charity, I do all the obligations, but we shouldn't feel like we're content with it, right? We should feel like we should strive for more, right? That's
Yes and no. Yes and no. You need to stay in company that's like you or even better than you, so you keep striving to become better. No doubt, right? But at the same time, don't stress don't some people overstress themselves. Like right now, man, I'm telling you, we're in an age, just get your thought down, man. Stay away from sins. You get Jannah, man. Take it, inshallah, like take care of your mom, take care of your dad, do the base. Like the Prophet ﷺ, like there's a time when you just go off in the middle of Mansfield with some sheep. Like, I'm just joking. But the Prophet ﷺ, there's come a time when you just go off with your fam, pray your 5 times, that'll get you Jannah, you're good. And for me, like right now, it's just about some certain deeds that I'm gonna keep doing and just be consistent on those. Just be consistent. Just be consistent. And you know what? Maybe 7 months from now, I'll add a little bit to it, right? Right? I'll add a little bit to it. But for right now, it's just consistency. And inshallah, I die while I'm still just trying to do this. Right? I die while I'm still just trying to knock this out. Inshallah. وَإِن قَلَّ, man. وَإِن قَلَّ. That's why you're going to lead Isha, right? أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِن قَلَّ. I'm just joking.
Wow.
That's it. Nah, you're right. Small, but consistent. That's the hadith he just said. The most beloved action to Allah. Most beloved. Small, but consistent. Now don't drop. No, that don't mean, I can chill now. Right? But it should, you have to use this in, yes.
And that's another thing with a lot of people who just come here and they feel like, okay, I'm going to go home and do good. It comes steps, basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes what we do is we go home and we're like, tonight I'm praying Isha, and then I'm waking up 4 p.m. and then I'm gonna make sure I keep up my 12.
Yeah. And by Tuesday you done.
You can. So
not even Tuesday, right? Friday.
Always, so always to start with the part or.
That's what I'm saying. Thought right now. Thought and sins. Thought and ridding myself of sins. That's all I'm trying to do. Right? Okay. I'm gonna end in with this, yo. One scholar gave the example. He's like, if you turn the AC on and just close the window, even if the AC is on low, it's going to cool off. But if the window is open and hot air is coming in, it's never going to cool off. He says same way with sins. Right? You don't need a lot of good deeds. You just need to close the windows, man. You just need to close the windows. If you close the windows and sins, hot air ain't coming in, it's going to cool off in the car. You know what I'm saying? We like to blast the AC and open the windows up. I'm doing everything and nothing's happened. Right? Yes.
I'm getting old and it's hard for me to drive at night.
Yo, we got to do it. You're right. I feel you. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Let's make a dua. Huh?
Just kidding.
So what do you mean you feel?
Huh? Oh. I mean, we are like the eldest in this gathering right now. So.
He already called you Uncle Bob.
Okay. You got okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I affirmed or validated your oldness.
Yes.
My bad, yo. I didn't even mean to do that. My bad. All right, let's make a quick dua, inshallah, and then we'll pray our salat al-isha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقربنا إلى حبك يا رب العالمين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا كلها يا رب العالمين. Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, to accept our gathering here today, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, and make it a means for us to become more righteous and pleasing you, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to clean our hearts, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, and forgive us for all of our sins, Ya Allah. Forgive us for every time we turned away from you, Ya Allah, and make this night a means for us to turn and change our ways and become close to you, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to give us your love, give us the love of those who love you, and give us the love of those actions that will gain your love. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.